Yo, what's going on, guys, man? Look, you guys answered my call. In my last video, I asked you guys, what tutorial ideas do you have for this upcoming tutorial this weekend? And pretty much the majority of you guys said that you want to see a tutorial of how I edit my videos, or like the workflow of my editing process. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my personal editing workflow process. So let's get right into it. All right, so after you shoot whatever video that you're doing, whether that be a music video, vlog, anything like that, any type of content, the first thing that I do is I want to go into my external hard drive. Now, I edit everything off my SanDisk 500 terabyte SSD, external SSD. It just makes it easier where I don't have to put all the footage onto my actual computer hard drive. Even though it is an internal SSD, I would just rather have everything on the external drive. Less workload, I guess, for my hard drive and for my computer. But the first thing that I do, you guys can see like everything right here is labeled and organized, man. So first step, very, very, very important thing that you guys want to do is make sure that everything that you're doing is organized. Make sure everything is organized in a way that's going to benefit you. You guys can see at 2020. So usually I just do based off of the year. Now my external SSD, this is what's going to be for my current work. I do have another external drive. This is my Lacy 5 terabyte. This is just what I use to store all my footage. Now, if you can see, it kind of mirrors the exact same thing. If I'm confusing you, so on the left side, this is the Lacy, and on the right side, this is my SanDisk. So left side, this is what I store all of my finished products on, finished projects, and the right side, this is what I use to edit all current projects. So left side, you guys can see like this is pretty much the same thing, because I do that because when I'm done with a project, I can just put that into the same folder it was already in onto my other external drive. So these are my completed vlogs, all that stuff. This is going to have way more projects because this is what I use to store all finished and complete projects, and this is what I use the 500 SSD. This is what I use to edit all current projects. So I don't want anybody to get confused. Now this Lacy hard drive, it's a lot of storage on here, but I don't recommend to use it as an editing hard drive. It's not the fastest drive. It's specifically used just for storing all old projects. So if you want a faster hard drive, faster SSD, solid state drive, I recommend getting the SanDisk. I'm gonna link it down in the description. It's pretty small, but definitely is pretty powerful. So I recommend using something like that to edit your projects on. But let's get into the rest of this tutorial. So yeah, I got through that part. So yeah, main thing, man, make sure that you are organized. All right, so I already have a folder for this tutorial. So I'm just gonna go right into it. So this is what I'm gonna be using for this project. Now, pretty much this entire folder is gonna be, I guess, the main folder for this entire project. So if I go into it, I have LR, which stands for Lightroom, PR stands for Premiere Pro, and PS stands for Photoshop. Now, these are the three applications that I use pretty much for all of my projects, whether that's a music video, a vlog, or whatever content it is. I'm taking pictures, I want to edit in Lightroom. Usually there's more folders within here that would say like raw photos, Lightroom data, and Lightroom edit. So if we go into the PR, which is the Premiere Pro folder, you guys can see these are typically the folders that I will create inside that Premiere Pro folder. We got exports when I'm done with the project. IO stands for intro and outro. Music, just music for the video, screen grabs. Now, typically, I don't really get screen grabs anymore because for my thumbnails, I've been taking pictures and editing those pictures and importing those into Photoshop and editing from there. I used to get screen grabs from the actual video and then use that as my thumbnails, but I do put this in here just in case if I need to use it. This is the only way tag. I use this for like, I need to put that in there in the video somewhere. Now, when it comes to like my music, video overlays, and my footage, or at least for my video overlays, my music, I get all my music from Epidemic Sound. All of that is down in my description. So pretty much if I go, I'm gonna close this. No, actually, so I'm gonna go to my SSD. So I'm in my 500 gigabyte SSD. This is what I use to edit all my stuff off of. So I have a folder that's labeled sounds. So I go to that, epidemic, and then go to, let's say, other instrumentals. So this is my big, I guess, inventory of all of my music. Now, whenever I do download more music, I'll just drop it in here. For the sake of this video, I'm just gonna pick one random one and just copy it over into this folder right here. Now, the reason why I don't import this exact folder from this exact file, because I want everything to pull from this entire folder, from this folder right here. So I don't want anything for the project within Premiere Pro. I don't want that to think that there are other file locations. I want everything to be in one centralized location. So I copy whatever music or whatever that I want to use, put it into this right here. Same thing for my intro and outro. I have another folder within my hard drive. I'll just copy and paste it onto here. I already did it to save time for this video. For my video overlays, I also have another folder. If I go back to the beginning, if I go to creative products, so the ones I typically use are Tropic Color and the Creative Ryan products. So the ones I use from Tropic Color, I use, it's usually this one right here. It gives me that little vintage feel that I like using a lot. So I'll just copy, or I'll make a folder within the video overlays. I'll label it TC for Tropic Color. Click in it, and then I'll just copy this and paste it onto my project folder. So also I have this as well. I usually just take this whole folder right here, Super 8 film pack, copy that into this right here, the video overlays, and then also the Creative Ryan. I like using the glitch transition and then the grunge transition. So I'm gonna copy both of those folders, put it in here, and then that's pretty much the go-to what I use for my video overlays. So we got the video overlays, I got my tag, music, just got that one song, I got my intro and outro. Exports is when we'll be done with the actual project. But for my actual footage, usually everything will be on my SD card, but for the sake of this video, I went ahead and put the clips I'm gonna use for this video on my desktop. So now what I used to do is I would drag and drop the footage from my SD card and put it into the footage folder. But now I realize that if I encode that footage into a ProRes file, it makes the editing process like 10 times faster and smoother than Premiere Pro, because for some reason, I guess Premiere Pro doesn't like the H.264 codec. It works a lot better with ProRes files. So what I'll do is I'll go to Media Encoder. So I have the entire Adobe Creative Cloud suite. I have Premiere Pro, Adobe Encoder, I got Lightroom, Photoshop, all these other apps as well. All these right here. So yeah, I bought the entire Creative Cloud suite because I utilize a lot of these applications day in and day out. So if I go to Media Encoder, so pretty much what this is going to be used is for to encode that H.264 footage which comes out of my camera, and I'm going to encode it into a ProRes file. So usually, this is already pulling from my SD card because I have my SD card in right now, but the ones I have, they're on my desktop. So the ones I want to pull are right here, these two. Now, what you could do, you could just drag and drop it into the queue box. But what you want to do first is you want to make sure that you change the output destination for that particular for that footage. So I'm gonna go to the folder that I created, which is why I say being organized with the folders is very, very important. When these files encode, this is where I want the files to go into. So I'm gonna click choose, click OK. So when I drag these over into the queue box, it'll have the output file as the location that we just chose it to be in. One other thing, I use a ProRes 422 preset. This is one that I made. If you want to make the same preset, you can just go to click the plus button, go to create encoding preset, and then this is what you would do. You can name it whatever you want to. I just name it ProRes 422. You do all the things in here, click OK, but I'm going to show you what I use for mine. Right click preset settings. Pretty much if you use these entire settings into your new preset, You can use what I use for my ProRes files. So you got ProRes 422, I put ProRes 422, render at maximum depth, 8 BPC. Make sure you do use maximum render quality. And after that, make sure you name the preset to whatever you want it to be. Click OK, and then it should pop up right here. So I just click this right here, and now I'm going to drag these two over here. So I just checked something. So for some reason, when I was dragging the files from my desktop, it wasn't giving me the right preset. So I went into my SD card. So I'm gonna pull the files I want from my SD card. I'm gonna double click to make sure it's gonna use the correct preset, the ProRes 422. And then I'm gonna drag these two clips that I want into my queue. So you should see the preset is gonna be ProRes 422. For some reason, I don't know why, but it was saying that match source for some reason, but it was coming from my desktop, which is weird. I don't know. But yeah, I typically just pull from an SD card anyway, so I don't know what that was about. But yeah, so once you got everything into your queue that you want to encode, make sure that the output file source is good to go. You want to have it in the correct folder, and then you just click the green start queue button. Now, this part will take time. It just depends on how big the video clip was, or like what it was shot in. It was shot in like 1080p or 4K. As you can see, it was shot at 1920, 1080. So it's not like a fairly large file. It's like maybe 2 gigabytes. So I want to speed this part up so you don't have to sit here and watch this entire thing. Okay, so once that finishes up, you want to make sure you double check and make sure it's all in the footage folder you made. So I'm gonna go in here, and both of those clips are in here. It's going to be a QT movie, and it is going to be a little bit larger than the original. I think this is like maybe 2 gigs at first. So when you do convert from H.264 to ProRes, it is going to be a larger file size. So keep that in mind if you are working on a smaller hard drive or something like that. So just keep in mind that the file size is going to be a little bigger. So yeah, once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Oh, that's good. All right, so one last thing. So we can go ahead and open up Premiere Pro, but I need to make the folder for it. So I'm going to make a folder. This is going to be called PR data. This is where the project file is going to sit. Like I said, everything is organized. I know exactly where everything is, where it's supposed to be if I want to go back to it. So once you have all our folders, you got your footage, you got music, you got your PR data folder, you got this tag, and then you got the overlays and everything. After that, you can go ahead and open up Premiere Pro. New project, and I'm going to name this tutorial, editing tutorial. All right, so you want to change the location into the PR data folder we just made. So PR data. So this is where the project file is going to sit. So you want to click choose, and then you can double check everything is good. I don't touch any of this stuff. I leave it the way it is, and I just click OK. If you guys can see my layout, so I kind of changed it a little bit to work better for me. So I have my Viz mode tab. So this is like, I got my folders over here. I got my effects, my timeline, a preview of the clip, my metric scope, and then the actual project right here. If you want to change it to fit something for you, you can go to this arrow right here, go into edit workspaces, and you can drag and drop certain things to different spots. And if you change like something like a location for something, like if you want your metric scope is to be all the way over here on this side, you can go to save as new workspace, and it'll save whatever current settings you have for that particular workspace. So this is what I use. I got Viz mode, got color, audio, and then graphics. So it makes it a lot easier for myself. Just get it to a space that works best for you. So first thing first, I'm gonna go ahead and import my stuff. So another reason why it's important to make these folders is because it makes it easier, because I'm going to use these exact same folders for the actual project in Premiere Pro. So I want to take this, the overlays, the music, intro, outro, and the footage. I want to click import, and it just makes it easier because everything correlates on the outside for my hard drive as well as within the project. That's why I say organization is probably the biggest thing for me when it comes to my workflow. Once I have my folders imported, I'm gonna go ahead and make more bins. So the first bin I'm gonna make is sequence. Make another one, nest, one more, adjustment layers. All right, so I use adjustment layers for my LUTs and like any other type of adjustment layers. So I'm gonna do like a color matte. Usually I do white. I just changed this to white. Another item, adjustment layer, LUT, and then I do one more for like my B-roll and stuff. I want to do that. Black bars, or like the anamorphic looking bars, black bars. All right, so I've got those in there. Now you can go in and like change the color of these, but I just typically keep it the way it is for your sequence. So this is another big thing for me. I always edit in a 24 frames per second timeline, or 24 frames per second sequence. So if you go to new item, go to sequence, I have these different custom presets. So I used to do 4K timelines, but now I've noticed, well, it kind of ties into when I export my projects. I always export at 4K, so I'm going to put everything within the 1080p timeline, and then later in the export, I'm going to export it out to 4K. So you can name this whatever. I'll just do a tutorial. Boom, click OK. All right, so now we got everything set to be successful for this video. Now for my vlogs, I typically start, with the intro, and then you got the video and your outro. So it kind of just depends on like what I'm doing. I kind of go with the flow when it comes to my intro. So sometimes like I do some talking points that then go to my intro, or I go straight to the intro into B-roll. It just depends on like what I'm trying to feel for the particular video. Like for this video, I might do talking points and then go to intro, or intro straight to the video. It just depends on like I said, how I feel for the video. So for my intro, I'll just drag the whole thing into here. I'm gonna turn this sound off because I don't want that to pick up. But yeah, so this is my little intro. I'll have it play out, and then I'll maybe cut into like some music. So I got the music right here. Typically just drag this whole thing in here. It's kind of hard to hear, but this is just for show. It'll go from there, and the music. Let's see. So then I'll drop my footage over the top. Like for my vlogs, if I'm talking, I will have the audio still playing, but like super low, but the low pass filter over the top of it. But I'm going to use this as an example, just so you can see the audio on top of the actual music. So I'm going to turn the sound back on. If I want to drop a low pass filter, so I make a lot of presets, man, because when you make presets, it makes the editing flow a lot faster. So that's pretty much the primary use of why I use presets and make presets. So if I make like an effect or something, I want to make a preset. I use low pass filter. I'm gonna drag it onto here. I'll also go in here and I'll drop the level of it as well. So maybe I'll do like -20 as well. So this is with the low pass filter. You may be able to hear it, may not. And this is with it off. It kind of just takes out those like high points, and then see that? It's a vibe, man. Yeah, that sounds good. So I always use that for like my talking points, or maybe B-roll too. It just depends on like what I'm feeling for that particular part of the edit. When it comes to like using certain effects for like B-roll, it's just it depends, man. Like I have Creative Ryan presets. I use this one a lot, the flashy ghost. You guys see it a lot in my videos. If I go here, chop that up. If I go drag it onto here, you will see that? It does that. I do use YC imaging presets sometimes. The ones I use a lot is the flicker. Like if you guys see like mostly in my intro or like in like words and stuff, I'll drop the flicker. So I think his is like 10 frames. So I'll go hold shift and then hit the left arrow twice. I'm gonna cut this. And then I'm gonna drag this flicker effect. Now it'll flicker out the opacity. Boom, there you go. So those are like my go-tos for like transitions and effects and stuff like that. Now I do have my own presets for effects. So I have the digital glitch RGB. I made this one like a few weeks ago, like a month ago. If I drag it on here, you can see it gives it that little glitchy effect. Now, if you guys want to see a tutorial on like the different effects that I use, I'll be sure to do that. Just let me know in the comments. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to deep dive into that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but for your sequence, it's really important that you are in a 24 or 23.976 frame rate for your sequence. So if you want to double check and make sure you're using that right thing, you can go to sequence settings and you can go in and change. So these are the sequence settings that I use for like my vlogs and for my music videos. I use Red Cinema 23.976 for the time base, 19 by 1080. Scale motion effects proportionally. And I think that's pretty much it. So if you guys want to use this and save it as a preset for like your sequence settings, you can do that. I think that's the best frame rate for like the best cinematic looking videos is to edit in a 24 frame per second sequence. But yeah, so once I have everything, like I got my intro and then whatever topic I'm talking about for my vlog, you know, I'm just bring this back down. Just depends on what I'm doing. So I go to the beginning of the video, I press I for my input, and then somewhere out here I just press O for the out. So this is going to be the entire length of the video. You guys can see it's at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. If I go further out and press O, now it's at 2:41. So make sure that you have a input and output portion for your video. Now for my outro, what I do is I made this within like Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So this is my outro right here. It's easier to hear with the sound because there's a beat drop when the fade starts, but for this video, it doesn't really matter because you can't hear the sound anyway. So hit out for right there. And then I'm just gonna drag the video only because I don't really use the sound for that outro. I just really use whatever I'm doing for that video. So if this video was over, I'll do like an ending transition. So the one I typically use, I use the CR, I use the meltdown, or like the flashy ghost, and then it'll do like this little thing right there. Boom. Now this is a 4K file, so I have to, you can either scale this to 50 and then you're good right there, or you can right click and you can do scale to frame size and it'll be good. Same thing, doesn't matter which one you use, but yeah, so once you got that, boom, outro is gonna play out and then closes it right there. And that's it right there, man. If you want to render this, pre-render this stuff right here, you just hit enter and it'll go through and then it'll render those previews, so it makes the export a lot faster. I mean, it's not gonna be super fast, but it does save you time when you do your export. All right, guys, I got like 5 minutes left on my memory card, so I need to hurry up. So like for the sake of this video, I'm not going to like deep dive into like the effects and stuff, but if you guys want to see something like that, like I said, head down to the description and let me know if that's a tutorial that you want to see, like how I use and utilize certain effects. But I'm going to go ahead and go into the export portion of this video. So we got the intro, we got the main part of the video, when we got the music, and then we got the outro. So that's like pretty much my standard go-to for my, I guess, my timeline for my videos. My timelines do get a bit complex with like different clips and all kinds of effects and stuff for my B-roll. So like I said, if you guys want to see a more in-depth tutorial, I will be sure to do that. But as far as my export, so what you want to do, if you're on a Mac, you just hit Control M. Make sure you clicked on this box right here. Make sure you're not clicked on anything else. Click on the box for your timeline, your sequence, Control M, and then you're going to be brought into the export settings box. So again, I use another preset for my export. So I'm not going to do QuickTime. I'm going to go back to H.264 because that's what's going to be best for YouTube. So I want to go to preset, and then I want to use this one right here, the 2160p. Now there is one down here, but my settings are a bit different than what it has. So they have like 5.1. This box isn't checked, and they use VBR1 pass. But if I go to my preset, This is what I use for mine. If you see like it did get a bit darker, that's because I use, I don't want to get too deep with this, but pretty much what this is like a LUT that I use when I export. Pretty much it helps with the contrast and shadows when the video exports. So whatever my timeline looks like, that's what the export is going to look like. But before, when I didn't use this, I would notice that my shadows and contrast would be almost pretty much gone, or like not the way it should look. So I'm going to link this down in the description as well if you guys want to use this. This is on the Adobe website. So if you guys want to use this LUT to export in, it will help with your contrast and like your shadows and stuff like that. Moving on, so for my video settings, I export at 4K. It doesn't matter like if I'm in a 1080p timeline or I shoot 1080p, I'm always going to export at 4K. So 3840 by 2160. I'm going to render at maximum depth. I use high 5.2. Leave all this the same. So I do VBR 2-pass. I think typically when you do it, it might be at 40, but I double it to 80 and bring this to 120 for the maximum bit rate. I think that's pretty much it. Also, I use maximum render quality and I use my previews to make the export go a lot faster. I don't do anything with audio, multiplexer, captions, or publish. All I do is touch the video and the effects for that LUT, for the contrast and shadows. But yeah, that's pretty much what I use for my exports. And then for the output name, this goes back into your organization. I'm gonna go back into the editing workflow folder, so PR. So this time I'm going to put it in export. So I'm going to name this tutorial, save. So now it's going to be a save tutorial and you just click export. I'm not going to actually click export, but I'm just going to cancel it out. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I would do. You got the different settings and then you just click export and then you're good to go. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up this tutorial. I guess for the main points for my editing workflow would be organization, editing with ProRes files. Make sure you edit within the right sequence settings, your 24 frames per second sequence. Make sure if you do create any effects, save it as a preset to make the next time you go back and edit a lot faster. It's going to save you a lot of time. And last but not least, your export settings is also going to tie within your presets. If you have something you like with your exports, make sure you save that as a preset. I'm telling you, it's going to make the process 10 times faster. If you guys want to see like more in depth, I know I kind of skimmed through a lot of things, so that's really, I can go really in depth with certain things within this video. So if you guys want to see like a more in-depth tutorial, it'll be a longer tutorial, but I can like break it down into different parts. But if you guys want to see certain videos like that, just head down to the comment section and let me know exactly what you guys want to see, and I'll be sure to get that content out to you guys. All right, guys, somebody get up out of here. Look, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it to be informational to you, hit that like button. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out, guys.